Okay, a little later than I wanted it to be, but only by a little bit. It's time for another DVD and Blu-ray update, guys. I'm a little surprised by how much I'm actually showing you in this video, because I wasn't expecting to have as much to show, but thanks to my mom and stepfather taking me to half-price books a lot, I was actually able to find quite a decent amount of DVDs and Blu-rays for very nice prices. So let's hop into it, shall we? First DVD I got, this is actually an improvement off a previous DVD I had. You can see it, Terminator 2, the Ultimate Edition. Now, if you saw my first ever DVD and Blu-ray video, you would know that I already had this, and it's true, but I had the double-sided disc edition of it. Now I have two separate discs, which I'd rather have on a tip than I got from Zeronizarak. So now I'm officially good with Terminator 2 on DVD, although I gotta do some more investigations as to what to do with those movies on Blu-ray. It's one of those movies that it's gonna take forever to figure out, even though I don't think I'll be getting rid of my DVDs. I don't know why, it's just one of those times where I actually am willing to crossover formats and have, parts of the franchise on DVD and Blu-ray. I'm not going to do that in other instances, like The Office. I got rid of my Season 7 Blu-ray, I'll just get them on DVD. I'm only losing 2 features over the course of like 5 seasons, so I'll take it. They're pretty loaded with extras. Now, these next two are the first 2 seasons of a TV show that Zeronizarak talked me into seeing. I did see the movie that preceded this show, however, and I liked it, but found it to be kind of meh also, because not that much happened, the characters weren't that great, and a couple of other reasons that I kind of forget, but I've heard that the TV show expands on the concept pretty well, and I have heard people talk about this show, but they didn't do a good job of explaining what it was about, which is one reason I stayed away from it, that kind of thing. And also the title, it'll, I think, throw a few people off if you don't know much about the show. Me. I got the first 2 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I haven't checked any of it out yet, I'll be doing that soon, but I ended up deciding to get the second season because this first season isn't too long. It's got 12 episodes. For some reason I just didn't think that would be enough, but season 2 has 22, which is, I think, a standard longer length, so 34 episodes, that should be enough for me, and then I can check out the remaining seasons of that show and then decide what else I want to do with that franchise, because there's more to it than just that TV show, yeah. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you're an Amazon Prime member, they have this thing called Prime Day in the middle of July, I think it is. And last year, the first time they ever did it, it honestly kind of sucked. I didn't do anything that year. There was just pretty much nothing, and most people seem to echo my thoughts. But this year, they really stepped up their game, and I was actually able to get a very nice 2-part graduation gift, because I finished at the community college that I was at and got my A degree. I wasn't honestly expecting to get this particular DVD, but for the price that they had it, I felt like it was worth it, and now that I've got it, I do actually feel like I'm rewatching this show and then checking off its sequel show, which I previously had absolutely no desire to do. I'm talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm pretty sure this is a re-release, because I don't think the releases in stores came out like this. I think they had a little more complicated cover thing, or at least, like a big slip cover kind of a thing, but I'm not too picky about this. I got this for about $25, so that's a pretty nice bargain if you ask me. I've already made a review for this show back at like January 2013, I think it was. You can find it. That's it for the DVDs. On to the Blu-rays. The second half of the graduation gift, I got to me the Blu-ray of Pleasantville. Yeah, I bet this was a shock to a few of you guys, and like, I didn't even know this movie existed until I saw a fan trailer for Glee, which, you know, basically took the dialogue of this trailer and showed the characters in a very similar situation, and it intrigued me enough that I decided to check this movie out. And while I had my issues with it, such as finding it to be slow-paced and then a little bit boring, I was nonetheless kind of touched by it. And I felt like everybody in here did pretty well, especially the people that I recognized. The young Tobey Maguire, Jeff Daniels, William H. Macy in a supporting role, and I'm sure many of you guys out there will recognize a few other people in here, but yeah. Didn't entirely like it, but I had a bit of a soft spot for it, so decided I'd grab it. Now, this next movie was a big hit from a certain studio that I grew up with as a kid, but at some point they began to kind of meander away from their roots and producing movies that, although they do make a lot of money, just didn't interest the crowd as much. And then I kept hearing about this one, but I'm like, okay, it's just the same as the others, but it's making a little bit more money, and not really worth my time. But then one of my cousins came up to me and said, you should actually check this movie out. It's a lot more like the ones that we saw when we were kids. So I decided, okay, I'll check it out. Well, I checked it out, and woohoo! Yeah, they were actually able to do pretty good, going back to their roots with this movie. I was really impressed by it, and decided I would actually pick it up. Found it with a slipcover, no less, and decided to pick up Frozen. Yeah, I was pretty shocked by how much I liked this movie. So yeah, I've got the Disney movie that everyone claims is the one that they totally like. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure, no movie can come compared to this one. No way. Just, if there's a Disney movie out there that tells that one, I'm gonna totally shoot myself in the foot. Because, like, there is no way any movie out there can reasonably type that one, because it just did it. Oh! I said corrected! This one, yeah! Yeah. Because, like, I knew that once I got this, if I didn't pick this up, I would get a lot of people jumping down my throat going, how the heck can you pick up Frozen? Do you not know what a real Disney movie is like? Well, there you go, haters of this movie. I got the one that you want me to have, yeah. Because before I saw that movie, I did feel like that this was my favorite Disney movie, and now it's got some competition. In a few ways, I do think that this is still a better movie, maybe because of its simplistic plot and all that stuff, but yeah. And sorry if that joke didn't come over as well. I do want to try and, you know, not be so monotone all the time, you know, and try and throw in some humorous bit, although obviously it's a little bit tricky given how I'm the only person, you know, on this camera bit, but whatever, I'll deal with it, and none of you have ever complained before now, so let's keep going. I gotta speed this up. Well, I've still got a lot of Blu-rays to go. Okay, so, this was, after I saw Frozen, I decided to do a little bit of peeking around into other things that Disney has done. And I had actually heard of this movie when it first came out on Blu-ray, but I'm like, I bet that's totally going to suck. There is, no way that one person is going to be able to add enough to this movie to save it. Well, I viewed it, and like with Frozen, I was really impressed with the product that they turned out. A reimagining of the same story, but it actually managed to hit home in a surprising amount of ways. And then the actress in here, yeah, she really stole the show in here. I was really impressed, although, as I mentioned in my singular movies that I've seen, I do feel like this movie had a little tricky bit trying to decide between, you know, how dark it wanted to be, because they're trying to appeal to the younger audiences in here by following the basic storyline that various people grew up with, but at the same time, they're trying to add a little more realistic, dark themes into it, and I feel like what they did was pretty good, but given how this movie is PG, they can only do so much. Yeah. But I still found it to be a very pleasant movie and knew I would pick this up eventually. I got Maleficent. There you go. Which is not up. If you saw my previous video, you knew I have this. I got Independence Day. I already discussed that in the previous video, so there you go. Now, these next three, this is a show that my dad introduced me to because he wanted to give us examples of a couple different comedy shows, even though the style for this show is kind of similar to another comedy show that I've already got. You can figure it out once I show it to you. And I had the season 1 of this on DVD, and I liked what I saw, so I decided I would pick it up on Blu-ray. And I ended up going back to half-price books enough times with my mom's stepfather. I decided, you know what, since I know that I like the first season, let's get the next couple. So I ended up getting seasons 2 and 3, giving me the first 3 seasons of Modern Family. First one with the slipcover, which was a pretty lucky find. Yeah, I enjoy this show. Sure, there is some Will Ferrell humor in here, but I do find it to be a pretty nice laugh that they had in here, and I'm sure they all take in the style of The Office, but they do seem to go to more places than they do in The Office, obviously, because it is meant to be set in, well, an office, even though they do go outside, I think, a nice amount of times, based on the half of this show that I saw 5 years ago. Yeah, I gotta get back to that show, right? So, yeah, I do look forward to keeping up with that show and checking out more seasons of it, but I've got other shows to watch, and for some reason, I couldn't find any listings on Amazon for any of the seasons on Blu-ray after season 4. What's up with that? Well, I don't have season 4 yet, so we gotta wait on that. Now, I had heard that this Blu-ray wasn't that good of a transfer, although I later learned that I was wrong in that assumption. But I kind of held off on picking this up because it was my least favorite of the entire franchise when I saw them like 6 years ago, so there's a possibility that won't hold up, although I honestly doubt it. But after I learned that actually there's only one extra missing between the special edition DVD and this movie, and that the transfer is actually just fine, I decided, okay, might as well pick it up. So now I'm only one Blu-ray short of having the entire franchise on Blu-ray. I got Predator 2. Yes, I prefer AVPR to this. Okay, but that's just how I feel, and even then, as I said, I should rewatch it. So let's just hope that the new transfer of Predator 1 that they're working on actually works, and then I have them all on Blu-ray, even though I'm keeping my 2-disc edition of Alien vs. Predator, because it seems like I should. Now, these next two were movies that I reviewed a long time ago. I stated that I liked them, but didn't feel like I would really pick them up unless they were cheap. But a long time has passed since I saw them. I've read a couple of other fan fictions that borrow a couple of aspects from the mythologies that they have here, and it really interests me to see it again, especially since I've had a little bit of exposure to a character that stars in the third movie, this particular franchise, even though I didn't like that movie, but these two I did like a lot more. I picked up the first 2 Underworld movies, so I still gotta pick up Underworld Awakening, even though I don't like that movie. Rise of the Lycans, I don't need to get that, because everything that they show in there, you know the plot of based on this, so there's no need for me to do that. And then I'm really hoping that this 5th movie redeems the 4th one, although since they seem to have Theo, what's his face, James in there, you know who I'm talking about when I show you this next one. I'm really hoping that he can do a little bit to help redeem the franchise, because like he was actually the best part of Awakening, if you ask me, yeah. Now, this was a movie I had heard about and thought I might check out eventually, but didn't have a strong interest to. Well, eventually I did check it out, and I go, holy, this is actually a pretty nice movie of a young adult novel, and I'm actually pretty interested in reading the books that it's based off on. Well, I got the free books, but still need to get the companion book. Haven't read them yet, although I do want to read them before I continue with the movies. I picked up Divergent, yeah. I was actually surprised, you know, with how much I like this movie in the universe. And yes, I do know that they are apparently shelving the fourth one to be like a TV movie, and they might not be getting the actors back, which I find really depressing because I like the actors based on what I saw them in here. And also, did you really have to split the third book into 2 movies? Like, that book I'm pretty sure is only a couple of pages longer than the previous 2, so it's not justified in my mind. What, is everything in there so crucial you had to split it into 2 parts like Deathly Hallows? Because that was justified to split into 2 parts. You couldn't skip stuff, okay? And you can argue with a fair amount of credibility that Breaking Dawn was justified in being split into 2 parts, okay? But, like, Hunger Games, you didn't have to do that, and even though I haven't read the books, I knew you didn't have to do this. Oh, and by the way, all I've seen of Hunger Games is the first movie, okay? But I could tell that there was absolutely no need to split that into 2 movies. Just come on, okay? Enough with splitting the last book into 2 movies unless there is literally no other option to justify an adaptation of it. Just seriously, okay? Just... huh? Come on. I don't get it. Just, yeah. Yeah. Filling in a gap between, the, virtually incomplete franchise that I have in my Blu-ray collection, I picked up the first movie of a very popular Tom Cruise series of movies. Mission Impossible. I've only got the 4th one besides this one, but I still gotta pick up the 5th one and maybe the 3rd one. I honestly don't know if I'm gonna pick that one up. And then, as for the 2nd one, I'm with the crowd, and that I just don't like that movie. Hey, I have watched it, okay, and reviewed it. Trust me. Go ahead and look for it. Only a few left. Filling in one of the gaps that I had in this particular movie's collection, I picked up Skyfall, but I actually didn't keep the disc because I remember that the 50th anniversary collection actually had a blank space for this movie, so that's where the disc is. But I'm keeping the case in case I want to do like a Blu-ray DVD combo for another movie down the line. But I still gotta pick up Skyfall, Sean Connery's other movie, Never Say Never Again, I think it's called, and then I gotta decide if I want to get those crappy 60s Bond movies. Yeah. This was a horror movie that I saw a long ways back and that I liked, although I found the sequel to it fairly bad and don't think I'm ever going to see that. So I picked up The Descent. Have you seen the movie? I don't have to talk about it. If you haven't seen it, well, just look up the quick synopsis for it and then you'll figure out if you want to see it or not. I mainly picked this one up because it was cheap, and I think it's a nice comfort movie. I picked up Invincible. Like with Descent, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If not, look up the synopsis. Because it's a fairly simple movie. Albeit a fairly well done simple movie based on how I remember it. I'm sure it'll mean a lot more to me now. Now, this last Blu-ray that I've got, I come across this movie a few times because I looked up Ethan Hawke on Wikipedia a couple of times because he had like starring or supporting roles in a couple of other movies, and I saw like the I think he was in one adaptation of Great Expectations and then a couple of other movies. I'm having trouble reminding myself where I saw him because his name, it does sound familiar, but you forget his face just like that. But anyways, I'd heard of this movie a couple of times, and then when it was announced that they had finally completed it, and that it got pretty good reviews, I told myself I would check it out eventually, because it seemed to be a very nice story of people learning how to grow up, and I was very impressed with the product that they turned out. In a few ways it's kind of depressing, but as I mentioned in my Independence Resurgence review, it does do a good job of displaying accurately modern themes, and even if it's not so positive, there are people who do go through things like this, so yeah. Very proud to say that I've got Boyhood. And like, I'd heard that Criterion was going to come out with a Blu-ray for this, but I honestly don't think that's happening now, even though that is a bummer, because I bet they would have improved this extras package, because all we've got is a Q&A and one feature called the 12-Year Project, which I think is a brief overview of how the movie came to be, yeah. That's a pretty depressing extras package. Doesn't even mention it's got a commentary track, yeah. Well, 20 minutes. I think that's my longest DVD and Blu-ray video because I got all these singular items and a fair amount of backstory to justify why I got them. Yeah, well, glad I made this video, and see you in another 5 or 6 months with the next one, people.